to be a part of this worship today are the Karen people. And we have heard them already singing, and such wonderful singing. And we are so glad that these wonderful people, the Karen people, have come to this country and have come to Dallas and have come to Gaston Oaks Baptist Church. It's a wonderful blessing that God has given this church, that we have the opportunity to be brothers and sisters with them, to provide a place for them for their own worship from time to time, but also for our opportunity to worship together today. So I've asked Wallace Yeh to come and join me here, and I'm going to ask Wallace some questions about the Karen people. Now, many of you may already know the answers to these questions, but I'm learning. This is a learning experience for me as the pastor, to get to know these wonderful people better. And I don't know of anyone better able to instruct me than Wallace Yeh. And as he does that, perhaps you will learn some things as well. So Wallace, come and stand here with me, please. If you would stand right there. And Wallace, I want to ask you, first of all, the very simple question: who are these people? Who are the Karen people?
Well, this will be a short answer, a short question, but it will take a lot of time to really answer everything that needs to be answered about the Karens. But briefly, until now, the origin of the Karen is still known exactly or determined. Because, this is a people who have been trying to establish their identity, and until today, they are still, very little known people. The Karens, at one point in history, believed that they are in Mongolia or somewhere there, because they talk about the great desert area, the place where, there is a running, like water and running sand and things like that. So they believe that the Karens will be one time in Mongolia, and then because of famine, that is one of the relevant reasons given. And then, most important of all, I think, it is because of persecution that, they chose to leave the area and then try to find new land. So they moved down south. At one point in history, they were in Yunnan. And from there, because of the various situation, then they moved down again further until they came to the Great Sea. And that happened to be the Irrawaddy River, the Salween, the Sitang River, where they came to the sea. At that point, I think the sea will be pretty far up north, probably in the Manly area, not at the northern Burma area, because the sea line will be pretty far north. Because that was in the early BCs. The first group of Karens, who came into that land was in the 1100 BC. But the last group of Karen who joined those who migrated down south came to the land they call Kola. That was in BC 739. And that's where they mark their history together with the Karen calendar year that started from 739 BC. So the last Karen calendar year we celebrated was 2748. That is the Karen calendar year. They are originally animist. They believe in the spirits, they believe in like spirits of the forest, of the trees, of the mountains. But at the same time, they, according to their legend and history, they believe also in a supernatural being, which they call Yuado. Yuado pretty much resembles the word Jehovah, but anyway, they call Yuado. And then, they mention about the book, or the book of wisdom that we call, that God has given to them. But the Karens, being so naive or being so lazy, I don't know exactly, somehow they didn't take good care of that book, and then they just have it deserted until they remembered, but it was too late. They couldn't find the book anymore. Probably they might have left it in one of their cultivation plot, and then through the years it got burned down, and then just disappeared. But there was history also, there was legend also that one day this lost book will be brought back to the Karens by the White Brother. They don't know exactly, but that is a legend. They call it Budewa. And throughout history, they've been waiting for the return of this lost book. And it was in 1813 that Reverend Adoniram Judson, he came to Burma. he won't know anything about the Qurans because he came to India, and then because of the like opportunity for mission work, then he went to Burma, which is a Buddhist country. And then he worked there beginning from 1813 to 1826. During that time, there were a few Burmese converts. Probably he didn't know anything about the Qurans, but then through one of the Burmese converts, then Ushube, who brought a Quran slave that he bought over. He bought over for ransom, and then brought him to the Reverend Donald Judson. And then he was told about the message of the gospel, of the grace of God, and then he became a changed man, and he accepted Christianity. He got baptized. That was in 1826. Yeah, he was the first Quran convert, and that was 9 years after Reverend Adoniram Judson came to Burma. And because of him, he took on the mission of spreading the gospel among his people, and there was a great time of revival until the American Baptist Mission have a base there in Tawai. That is where most of the people who come from Tam-Him area they came from. Mieta is a village where that was a Baptist mission field also, where the Holy Bible, translation of the Holy Bible took place also in that area. And the message of the gospel, of course, there was revivals that spread to different parts of the country. And so during a mission trip to, I think this is Panchong village, that was in one of the district, rural village in Moulmein district. One of the Karen elders spoke up and then mentioned about the legend or the history that the lost book that they once got will be returned to them. So he really believed, he said, that, these are the white brethren that, the Quran legend spoke about. So he mentioned about that, and then he asked for the book. And because of that, the missionaries realized that the Quran didn't have any written language, which they do believe that they have at one time. They call it Lisawe, but nobody knows it nowadays. So because of that, there was a research for the Quran language, and then like the Quran language was brought into script by Reverend Mason. And beginning with the language, then there was translation of the Holy Bible, and then the Quran, hymnals and all also. And because of the work of the missionaries, the Koreans began to realize that this is a time of hope for them. They have always dreamed of being recognized, establishing their identities, but during the years, during the Burmese monarch, the Burmese reign, and not only the Burmese, but the Mon kings in Burma, they went through very difficult times of persecution, hardship, almost like slaves during those many years. So this is a time where they get a breathing spell, and because of the education that have been provided for them and healthcare facilities and all, then many get very interested in pursuing education. So I believe that there were a lot of Koreans who went to school, and it was in 1870, I couldn't remember exactly, probably 1875, when the Rangoon University, at that time it was called the Christian University, was opened. My father told me that at that time they called it a Korean university, a Korean college, because the Koreans make up a large part of the student body. And that shows that they really know that this is a time when they really have to struggle hard, get the education that they need, to bring back revival among their people. And some of them have the chance to go further, for further study. So many came to the U.S., some to to England and other countries as well. And after graduation, then all of them went back to the country to help their people develop. And they form up an organization, they call it the Korean National Association. The founder and chairman of the first founder and chairman was Dr. T. Tambia, who was a graduate here. He was a master's. He got his MA degree here, and then a DD also, MA-DD. He was the first chairman of the Korean National Association, which is the first Korean organization that we established. And then the Korean did fairly well. Probably there would not be enough time.